Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in today on a great question that we got in, and that was, how do you handle a narcissistic rage blow up? Basically, when someone who you are in a relationship with has just gotten negative. They have gotten into a situation where they're acting like a young child, a temper tantrum, and you're experiencing what's known as narcissistic rage. And narcissistic rage is oftentimes, it's a kind of a superficial, just heated spat that you might get into with this individual who you might feel, we're not here to treat, diagnose, I'm not a doctor, but we're here to understand different personality types and how to deal with them. And one thing I have found is that people who are narcissistic, they feed on what is known as narcissistic supply, ego strokes, people, propping them up, people who will have eyes on them. They're constantly wanting attention. And even when it's really, I would say, an insatiable need for this attention. In other words, certain things, accolades, accomplishments just don't satisfy. There's very little content that you will experience with a narcissist, and therefore very little peace. And really, one of the key secrets to finding happiness and fulfillment in this life is being able to arrive at a sense of peace and contentment and humbleness, as well as humility, i.e. a cessation of ego, a letting go of ego, not living in the ego, otherwise the world of form. People who are very affluent, or, people who have a lot of, status preoccupation, oftentimes are locked into this egoic just cycle, an egoic hamster wheel, if you will. They just keep going around and around. And oftentimes they can be very unhappy. And particularly these people are, in my viewpoint, are subject to outbursts of narcissistic rage. They don't get their way. They don't get a certain promotion. They don't get the attention. Everybody isn't on their side. There is really a sort of, explosiveness that you will get from these people, otherwise known as narcissistic rage. And it's not just something like someone's angered or upset or agitated, or, you've impacted them in some way and they need to have a discussion, which is founded on maybe perhaps reason, truth, rightful consideration, all these sort of legitimate reasons. A malignant narcissist will basically have a narcissistic rage outburst when they feel that they are not getting the ego supply that they need or deserve. People who are malignant narcissistic, they really truly feel that they only deserve to associate with people of higher status, people who can do something for them. They're very much into quote unquote using people, taking advantage of people, exploiting others to their own ends. In other words, what's in it for me? I mean, in my viewpoint, they should have a t-shirt that says, glad to meet me. They are all about themselves, a pathological sense of self-importance. They really don't care about others in the true emphatic or empathetic sense. They are really lacking in this emotional, intelligent quality or trait that human beings possess. They are really devoid of empathy. And, people can express empathy on a spectrum, particularly depending on their time of life, what they're going through, if they're in a happy space, if things are basically humming along. I mean, if you talk to somebody who, is driving on their way to a hospital to meet somebody who just, you find out is seriously ill, they're going to have healthy narcissistic needs. They're going to be like, get out of my way, honk honk, I need to get through. They might get pulled over. They tell them the situation to the police. They say, be careful, be safe. I'm going to let you off with a warning here. But there's a reason for them to be upset. There's a true need there. This is different quality of rage than, narcissistic rage. narcissistic rage, in my viewpoint, is very superficial. It's very passing. It's kind of like, this too shall pass. Or oftentimes a lot of people might feel it's unfounded. It's silly. It's, why are you becoming upset for no reason? Why are you just finding reasons to have a conflict consciousness? That's basically what I call it. They're always sort of walking on these eggshells, and they're preoccupied with whatever their egoic focus is, and trying to, either expand this ego. They're very much into those egoic accolades, titles, status, branding, being quote unquote the best, and not just like a healthy competition. It can be an unhealthy competition, where it's just, no matter what it takes mentality. And once again, there's, I'll do whatever is required, I'll do whatever it takes, which is a commitment, where you're all in, where you're full throttle. You're like, I'm in 100%. I have knowledge, I have focus, I have intent, I am positive, I am in it 100%. I will do whatever it takes. In other words, I'll get up early, I'll stay up late, I'll go to the gym, I'll fix my diet, I'll change my finances, I'll change the error of my ways. I will, and there's a good intent, there's a positive focus, there's a positive outcome, not only for yourself, but really the bigger picture, But there are people who are malignant narcissists who will quote unquote do whatever it takes to satisfy their egoic needs. And oftentimes this can mean narcissistic rage, exploiting and using others. Once again, it's just sort of it can be almost, a non-emotional rage. In other words, they're just getting rage for the sake of power, for the sake of pushing people's buttons, for the sake of getting what they want. They will not have a really founded or common sense reason. In other words, it just doesn't stack up. Their anger oftentimes is unfounded, or it's completely disproportionate to the situation at hand. They're using this anger and hostility and this narcissistic rage to get what they want, to overwhelm people, to overpower others, to shut other people down, to push their buttons, to, once again, get whatever it is that they want. And they're used to using this sort of forcefulness or pressure to get what they want. And a lot of people, once they've been around it and they've, seen this happen unfounded, oftentimes this person can then become very unlikable or unliked to their supply. A lot of people don't find that attractive if people are out of control, if they're not in control of their temper, if they're they have just too much instability, and little things that shouldn't annoy them begin to annoy them. In other words, this person is, highly annoyable. In other words, it's not about really what's going on, it's about them. It's quote unquote what bothers them. Not what is bothersome, but quote unquote what bothers them. And especially people who maybe are in a familial situation, or who are in a situation where they're living with this person, or married, or working, and they've seen this person who uses this as a form of intimidation, as a form of sort of pushing others around to get what it is that they want. It's to understand that they will resort to this to get things done. And it can become a very uncomfortable environment, very unproductive, especially in the workplace. I know we have a lot of viewers who are dealing with this at their workplace, where these people are unscrupulous, perhaps unethical. They will be intimidating of others. They will jockey for positions or throw other people under the bus. And create lies. They will, resort to pathological lying and false accusations, once again, to prop up their narcissistic rage, to act irritated, to force others to adapt to them versus having a two-way street, a two-way discussion, a coming to terms, a coming to understanding, having a good old-fashioned chat, just working things out. The narcissist, when they're in this rage moment, they don't want to hear what anybody else to say. It's like their ears are plugged. It is all about them, and it's a one-directional relationship. In other words, you do what I say. There's not oftentimes room for discussion, and not once again on a spectrum where you might have to take marching orders or there might be a chain of command at your work. When we're talking about narcissistic rage in particular, not just on the general. We're talking about narcissistic rage where, and this was a great viewer question, and then how to deal with it. So it's very important that you understand that really part of personal growth in dealing with these people is to let go of the ego defense. In other words, a lot of people, like Dr. David Hawkinson says, that for their force, there was created a counterforce. So it'll bring out this quote unquote ego in others. This ego that is, being under attack or subject to this oftentimes feels diminished. They feel minimized. They feel made less than. They feel disrespected. They feel unseen, unheard, unacknowledged. And in his book, Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, he talks, it's a great, on his page 214, he talks about, the ego and this role in really becoming your best self and your life purpose, and really sort of being in alignment with your best energy. He says the ego is always on guard against any kind of perceived diminishment. And so, basically when you are subject to this outburst, you feel a sense of being damaged, of being insulted, of being negatively impacted. There's a tension. It is distracting. It is, it is a distraction to the work at hand. It's a distraction to the peace at hand. It's distraction to the common sense or value at hand. And he talks about how the ego, and I've talked about this before, and it was interesting to come upon this in the book as well, is that the self will immediately attempt to repair its diminished sense of self through self-justification, defense, or blaming. Self-justification, defense, or blaming. So when you're having to constantly explain and justify yourself, you're basically put up against the wall. You are the subject of this narcissistic rage, which can be passive-aggressive, meaning it's kind of like, is that, they see a brand new phone and they're jealous. They're trying to sort of push your buttons, get you, away from your success. They're trying to take away your thunder. They're trying to take away what's positive, unique, wonderful about you. And let's just say you got a job promotion or, and you have a new phone, and here you are with the Apple whatever, the latest and the greatest. And they go, and it's clearly new. I mean, you just popped it out of the box. You're, is that old? Is that an old phone? They're subtly hinting that you don't deserve the phone. You don't deserve this. They'll catch you, and it's kind of like the intermittent passive aggressive. In other words, let's, come over and celebrate, your new job. And then, everything seems hunky dory, and you're like, yeah, finally we'll celebrate something positive. And then lo and behold, somewhere in the get together, or maybe when you're least expecting it, you get this narcissistic, quiet, passive aggressive rage or, sort of comment, which is designed to throw you off of your happiness, throw you off of your game, throw you off of your focus, throw you off of the living in your bliss, living in your happiness, your sense of accomplishment. We just, I just got this promotion, or I just got this raise, or, I'm getting married, or there's some, pinnacle, something important to your life. I just won the deal, whatever it is. You'll find oftentimes that people who are malignant narcissistic, they don't like to have others, steal the thunder, be the one with getting the attention, the acknowledgement, the one with the talent, the one where you're doing well. They want to be the one. Oftentimes they don't like to share the spotlight, share the room, share the stage. They just aren't in that humble manner. And so you have in order to handle it, you have to be able to spot it. You have to be kind of on guard. And as I say, you have to be able to kind of forecast it. If you're around these types of people, you have to know that this is what they do. Even if you go through quote unquote a dry spell of no narcissistic rage, and they're kind of, playing good, putting on their best behavior. When you least expect it, here comes the bait and switch. And you're like, OMG, I fell for it again. I should have known better. And then you're, upset with yourself. You're upset with them. You then are reactive. You bit the carrot. You were, all of a sudden they pulled one more string and now you're their puppet. You're what I call entering into the boxing ring. You're going in, you've now into the situation where you've had a sense of ego diminishment. In other words, your egoic, your healthy egoic part of you. And then now you're trying to react through self-justification, defense, and blaming. So you've taken the bait, you've taken the passive aggressive and you've taken an ego diminishment, and it's pulling you into your ego and pulling out perhaps the worst of you that's trying to defend and justify yourself. So number one, do know that this is going to occur and know that they're just going to do this. This is what they do. So don't act surprised. Don't act reactive. Don't take it personally. Don't take it derogatory. Don't take it as an insult. Don't take it as an accusation, because it's all about them. It is not about you. Oftentimes, they are acting out of false accusations. They're just trying to create a problem. They don't like others to sort of, to get the deal, to be the winner, to win the dance, to win the competition. When you do, and you're like, yeah, we won. And then next thing you know, they're cheating on you. At your finest moment is when you're going to see a lot of these, and you're not expecting it. And the next thing you know, the win is ruined. You're wondering why you have to leave the party alone. You're wondering, why did this happen on this night, on this day, on this event? These people, they have a pathological need for power. It's an insatiable need. So not everybody has this need. Not everybody has this big egoic need. Not everybody has this superficiality. Not everybody has this sense of entitlement. Not everybody has this, it has to be me, my way and the highway. A lot of people, in fact, don't desire to be that way. They want to be more open, share, more communicable. It's not all about me. There's something, obviously, for obvious reasons in this world, there's something more to me going on than just me, And so once again, as I always like to say, it's on a spectrum. But this narcissistic rage, it's oftentimes, they'll try to then trigger you to get you enter into quote unquote the boxing ring, to defend and justify yourself, begin the blaming game, begin to cave in, concede to their demands, bite the hook, bite the carrot, be, the next string that moves you, into a puppet status where you're reactive and you enter into the fight, the struggle, the hardship, the back and forth, etc. And so, what you have to realize is exit now the egoic mind. Exit that ego hit, that ego slap that you feel that you're getting. And don't take it personally. In other words, step away from, when it hits the narcissistic rage fan, step out of the way of the fan. Just don't let it hit you. Don't take it personally. Don't let it penetrate you. Don't let it, get into your energetic field, your personal space, your heart. Don't allow your feelings to be hurt. Even though this is difficult, I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it is required and necessary if you want to manage this. And I want to say manage versus cope. And getting very quiet. In other words, not being reactive. Don't giving in. Oh, what is this phone? How old is this phone? You don't hand over the phone. You don't concede to their demands. Well, let me see, prove it to me, whatever their situation is, where they're sort of into this narcissistic rage and then attack. Don't give in to the request. It's just because then you're playing the game and then you're on these terms, and then that they will always win. There's always going to be a one-up that they're going to do. So just don't even take the battle. Don't even take the battle baton. Don't even take the invitation. And save yourself some grief and just get quiet. Do not react. Disconnect the pattern. And if you have to respond cool, calm, and collected in a very dispassionate, disinterested, indifferent manner. And oftentimes just answer with something with really kind of a different answer than other than what they're asking. Like the brand of my phone is. Do a pattern interrupt.